Alright, what's up guys? We're back at it again with another video. It's going to be another One Piece chapter live reaction. It's 1181 this week, titled A God and a Devil. Last chapter was pretty much just Imu or Im absolutely asserting their dominance. I mean, honestly, I can't think of a better way to put it. They just no-diffed Sanji, Zoro, Gerd, Hyrodine, Stanson, all like they were nothing, all while saving Summers and killing him. So I would assume, based on how the whole chapter was based around them last chapter, right, this chapter is just going to follow up on all that action. So let's start with the cover page. It is Carrot sings as she strolls over sleeping panda sharks at sea, and it looks like her leaving, Carrot leaving a Carrot Kingdom where she's walking over these panda sharks, and there's a sign that says that Zoe is over this way and the Ninja Park is over this way, and I guess that's Carrot Land is back that way, because it looks like an island that it is made of carrots, and she has carrots in a basket. So pretty neat cover page. But let's get into the chapter. Let's see what 1181's got set for us. It begins with memories from 14 years ago, and we cut to Harald. I am the worst king in the history of Elbaf. You must kill me and take the throne, Loki. So we're getting a touch back up maybe on kind of what happened there. I'll be honest, I think we all remember the flashback pretty well. Now we cut to Loki in the present day. He says, he was only 144 at the end. Giants usually live to 300. He died way too soon. You tricked my dad, right? That makes you responsible for his death. Fair. I mean, Harald did make his own choices, but fair enough. Im responds, actually talking to Loki. The one suffered most from that inconvenience was Mu. All right. So what I do like right now in this next panel, we see Loki holding up Ragnar, getting ready to swing. And then we can see him right in front of Imu very clearly. And while Im is big and is fair size to the other giants, like weighs definitely a lot smaller. But compared to Loki, he's pretty ridiculously small. It's actually almost more like a human to a normal giant is kind of how separate they are. Loki says, damn you, back then. And he starts thinking to himself, I don't care about how I'm remembered, the words of Harald. That's not important. The only thing that matters is securing Elbaf's future. So he remembers his dad's face, and then he goes to strike Imu with his hammer. The lightning comes shooting down from the sky. Back then, what did you do to my father? And we get another named attack from Loki called Ragna Izuchi. And we just see the hammer charge up, get hit by the lightning. He goes to swing it down. And Im seems to just summon another ball, like kind of like the balls of fire that kind of look like chain chomps, honestly, from Mario. That he had summoned a couple of last chapter. He wanted to shoot at, I think it was Gunko in the ice to save her. And the other one was shot at Hyrodine, I believe. He makes a bigger one of those in his hand. And he throws it up, kind of like to block, just shoots it out of his hand to block the hammer, and that's exactly what it does. They don't even seem to touch. It's a lot like the Whitebeard and Roger clash, where like Odin even made the point to say, oh, they didn't even touch because of the hockey clashing, keeping them separate. We didn't get to see it from afar. Same deal, where it looks like their energies are like coalescing around each other, but they're not actually like right on top of one another. Okay, this is cool. We cut over and we get to see Vegapunk and what's happening there at the moment. Where it's just Bonnie hanging on to... I'll be honest, I don't know who that is that she's hanging on to, unless that's another Vegapunk body. And then we do see Vegapunk. And then we see Jinbei with Frankie and Nami. Everybody's kind of looking on. And then we get... I can't believe he tanked that. Yeah, low-key, I'd say me too, Loki, but, no, I'll be honest, that doesn't surprise me at all. Nobody here has seen what he's been doing to the other people on the island, so it makes sense they don't know how strong he is, but based on what we've seen, I totally believe that he blocked that attack like nothing. Loki asked the same question we've been asking. What are with these black flames? What sort of power do you have? He does this thing again with his hands, Im. And then this time he says Omen, and his arm, like, amplifies in size. Like, his bicep gets really large. And he's saying Omen is simply Mu's military might. And after saying this, it looks like he's getting bigger. Loki responds, gigantification. Yeah, Eam looks like he's now bigger. Like he is almost on size, or at least closer to on size with Loki. I doubt he grew that big. Eam responds, its power dwells in all things. Yeah, okay, seeing them clash again, now where he's using the end of his, I don't know what we want to call his spear-type weapon, whatever it's called, his Naginata. He's using the end of it that had the smoky kind of black clouds before. It's also turning into kind of like one of those faces, like the Chain Chomp balls. And that's now what he's using to block Loki's hammer. They clash. Eam then instantly spins up and jumps over top of Loki. He then aims down. Whoa, 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 guys. Alright, so Eam aimed up above, got up above Loki, aimed down, kind of did the same thing that he did with Gunko, where he kind of like used it like a gun, except instead of it shooting out a bullet, the end of his Naginata becomes a long sword, a black sword made out of his energy, and he calls it Nemesis, and it stabs right through Loki, like right through his chest or kind of shoulder region. He just sinks to the ground instantly. Eam continues, strength is an attribute people naturally crave, and yet that craving can easily be satisfied via corruption. And we just see him spread his wings. He begins to take flight. He begins spinning the chain chomp end of his Naginata around like a mace, like it's actually on a chain. He continues, it merely requires one to submit their will to a covenant. When their envy drives them, they'll achieve power. Those three things together form a trinity. And while saying this, we see Loki going to charge up another attack to clash with him. He swings the mace kind of ball part down at Loki, and it just hits him and explodes. And Eam caps off his statement by saying, known as Dominion. So what Eam says completely, at least the only part that I really find to be relevant, talking about a covenant and then explaining what it is. Where their envy drives them, they'll achieve power. Those things form a holy trinity, and that's power, the covenant, and corruption. Those seem to be the three things that form a holy trinity that's now known as Dominion. After we see him hit Loki, we just see Loki beginning to fall back. He said, shall I grant thee the power of God? In one step, thou wouldst go far beyond humanity. Loki's falling backwards, and then he goes to swing back forwards, and he's swinging the hammer down on Mu. And he says, I don't want it, as we see him crash down on top of Mu, or he looks like he does. We get a wide shot of Elbaf, kind of showing us some of the damage done. We cut right back into Loki. He's huffing and wheezing, and he says, so God's dominion, that's your power. It sounds more like a deal with the devil to me. And that's when, from behind him, it appears, we hear, is there a difference? Loki is shocked. Between a god and a devil. Mu continues. Loki responds, beats me. I just know I ain't gonna let myself be dominated by anyone. Fair. I do like this above head shot where we get to see Eam, because we get to see his full wings, the tail, and we get to see that he has the entire ring behind him is covered with eyes. Eam continues, the world itself let me see. The world itself rejoices in a state of dominion. Isn't that right? And that's actually Eam's flashback, where we see two figures laughing, but we have no idea who they would be. Anyways, while that's going on, Loki begins to charge up another attack to go swing at Eam. Alright, this is the most comical panel we've seen Eam in. Next panel, full shot of Eam just standing there holding his Naginata. He's very angry, and he yells, isn't that right, Joy Boy? And his mouth is like wide open. It's actually kind of funny. Like, this panel's kind of a little silly looking. But I'm guessing that means Joy Boy is the one. I guess that would make sense. That looks like that could be the tip of his straw hat, kind of leaned back. So he's thinking back on Joy Boy, and probably Lily would be my guess, considering he has an obsession with Joy Boy and Lily. He's thinking back on one of them. He's probably thinking back on the other two. So maybe this could be the beginning of what some fans have been trying to speculate. that in order to make Emu a really strong character, Oda's going to have to do a good job of probably not making him just evil for the sake of being evil. He's going to have to make him have some, kind of give us some kind of reason to have empathy for him, to kind of understand why he became what he became, and maybe it's not all his fault that he became this thing that he is now. And him saying, the world itself rejoices in a state of dominion, isn't that right? He seems to be thinking back, and for all we know, that means maybe that was the plan from Joy Boy and the gang, and that could kind of go into why Vegapunk had said from what he had understood from what happened in the past, he doesn't know who was actually good or bad. This kind of could be going along with that. Maybe Eam really thought he was doing what was right. We cut back over to the library, though, where we just see Luffy just still eating, like nonstop. And all he literally is saying is, nom, 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 I need more, gotta eat more, I've never felt anything like this before. Shoot, it's so heavy, it's like I'm suffocating. What's with this guy's hockey? If I don't eat all this, we can't win. More. So Luffy's eating as much as he can, because he needs to magnify his energy as much as possible to be able to defeat Eam. That's a good idea, because I'll be honest, I don't think Luffy's taking Eam from how we've seen him. Loki swings his hammer back up at Eam again. You still lost in thought. That tells me one thing, he says. You're underestimating me, as he seems to shoot Eam backwards. First blow land on Eam, guys, officially, by Loki. He does hit him, sends him backwards. He ends up hitting probably the treasure tree at him. Yeah, because it's a humongous looking tree that he hits. We actually see a little bit of blood kind of start coming down from Eam's head. He looks off into the distance where Loki turns into the Nidhogg. Eam gets upset, even says Nidhogg. Does the whole omen thing in his hand where he does the OK symbol and the OK symbol like this. And then it's Loki uses his attack again. Thorheim shoots the lightning. And it seems like, I don't know if he actually used omen to block it or if it still just hit him head on. It seems as though it might have hit him head on, because it looks like he has a little more damage around his face now. And Eam just says, thou really hast returned. And he smiles, and that's where narration says, a fearless smile. So that's the end of the chapter. I'm mildly disappointed that we didn't get to see Luffy actually come to the fight, but it does make sense. I think we're going to kind of spread out Loki and Luffy a little bit, and then they'll probably have to come together to kind of try to ward off Eam more than anything. I like the kind of comical panel with Eam. Very cool. We got to see a little more of his power set. We have gotten to see 2 hits, I'd say, landed on him now, and neither of them did what I would call significant damage of any kind. And I would still be willing to bet Eam might not be in top form while he's here on Elbaf, but maybe he is. If we're just getting a couple hits on him and he's in top form, that's fine. We just can't do critical damage to him if he's going to be the big baddie at the end of the story on his first appearance. I did like all the panels where we get to see Eam from kind of different angles. That was really cool. Honestly, his battle with Loki is pretty awesome, so that's pretty awesome. We get to figure out what Mu considers to be, let me see, the Trinity known as Dominion, and that's, again, what? Power, Covenant, and Corruption. And that he doesn't see a difference in gods and devils. So more than likely, Eam is probably more like a devil than a god, being that he ate the devil's fruit, and he thinks that gave him the power to be God. I love his attack, though, Nemesis. That's got to be the coolest attack we've seen from Eam so far. He just absolutely just laid a sword through Loki. That was, phenomenal work by him. And the only reason I would believe so far that Loki has gotten in those hits on him was directly because of what he had said, where he started spacing out, yelling about Joy Boy, and then Loki just took advantage of the chance and hit him. And even comboed up where he transformed and hit him again with a ranged attack as the Nidhogg. I'm assuming we're just going to pick right back up here again next chapter. It's going to be more Eam versus Loki, probably maybe a little more flashback and understanding how he's fought the Nidhogg before, or how he was maybe friends with the Nidhogg based on this smile here. Who knows? But we'll probably get some more of this. Loki might get kind of mugged next chapter, and then Luffy might have to show up and save him. Because I don't think we're going to leave Luffy eating for multiple chapters while everybody else is kind of fighting to survive. Doesn't seem very Luffy-like. Once he gets more, he eats more, like he said, just some more, I think he's going to get out here. So we'll probably see him soon enough. Props to Loki. getting lands on Emu. First hits on him officially. Both. 2 go to Loki. That's great. And we'll just kind of have to see where things go from here. There are still... I don't think this one left us with as many questions as before. The biggest question is probably his little flashback that he had, the one panel that we saw from him thinking back. But overall, really good chapter. Just a lot of action. Pretty quick chapter, too, probably because it's just mostly just the action, Loki and Emu just beating on each other. But overall, I'd still say it was really good. So I am looking forward to seeing what next chapter brings. 1182 is I'm guessing we're going to go on break after that. So it's probably going to be a pretty heat chapter, I would imagine. Probably some crazy stuff happening. Kind of a cliffhanger here or there for Oda to leave us off on. So, well, with that being said, guys, I'm going to go ahead and end this one here. I'll see about getting another video up, maybe talking more in depth about this chapter and the things that we're kind of still looking for with Ym and what we're trying to figure out. If you're still watching the video, go ahead. I'd appreciate it if you'd leave a like down below. Comment maybe what you think Ym is thinking about when he kind of comments on the Nidhogg really returning. Or maybe what you think Ym is thinking about when he's kind of going into his flashback, kind of what we're supposed to get out of that. And then if you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe to the channel so that way you don't miss any more content that I upload. And again, I do appreciate it, guys. And I'll see you guys back for the next one. Later.